Hi, beautiful people. Today we are going to be talking about protecting our own energy, and we're going to be talking about boundaries. So, these are two things that I've really been focusing on in my journey, looking inward, realizing, I've been trying to control so many things outside of my control. People, we don't want to do that. We want to let people be exactly who they are, and you can decide if you want to continue that relationship or not. But it's really important to look inward and see, where can I show up more for myself, for my community? Where can I hold myself accountable? Because I'm only in control of what I do and say. I'm not in control of what other people do and say. But when it comes to energy, our energy field extends multiple feet beyond our body. So anytime that you're walking into a space, you're coming into a room, you subconsciously, even if you're not attuned to your energy or really know anything about it, subconsciously, you're going to come in connection with another energy field, and you will feel that internally. Again, you might not have the tools yet or have done enough practice to realize kind of what it means. But I think a lot of you maybe know what that feels like when you walk into a room and it just seems off. Like, I feel like I don't quite fit in here. I feel like there's a lot of tension. Maybe you're kind of a ray of sunshine and you walk into a room and you feel like that ray is just disappearing. And now you're attaching onto the energy of the collective of the room, and you're gonna go down. And that can be really scary. It can be concerning for someone who doesn't know how to manage their own energy. And this has been me my entire life. Only very recently have I been able to do a lot of inner work and work on my intuition and just learn a lot about the energy system in our body. So there's 7 main chakras, and I'm going to be covering on those later. It's just a topic that I find extremely interesting. But everything is made of energy. Humans, trees, and I want you to just initially to grasp that concept of what energy feels like when it's stripped away from emotions. Because depending on the emotions you're going to have, you're going to feel different, of course. But the source energy, the collective energy of the universe that we all share, that we share with a tree, is just to be. It's just presence. Humans are, our brain overcomplicates things because we'll feel this energy and we don't understand it. And a lot of times we just attach emotions to it. If it's an emotion that we deem negative, we might get in our head and kind of start to spiral. Our brain wants to fix things. It wants to solve problems. But when you go outside and you are with the energy of nature, when you can just stand and be with the trees, and this is something that gets easier over time with meditation, just daily practices of being present, being in the now, in this moment, not having anxiety about what's to come in the future, not feeling depressed or shame or guilty for things that have happened in the past, but just truly getting to that place of being. No expectations. That's how the trees feel. That's how everything that has energy, right, that is not a human and doesn't have all that extra shit stacked on top, they just are. The trees aren't like, oh, I'm in a big hurry I have to accomplish something, or I have to be somewhere. You're here, you've arrived. You're exactly where you need to be. That's really where I'm trying to embody my energy in this space of just being present, but also to be aware that everyone's energy is going to be reflective of their circumstances, the story that they tell themselves, their thought patterns. If you have a bunch of negative thought patterns in your head, it's absolutely going to be reflected in your energy. And someone who has a more positive mindset and is in tune with their individual energy, they're going to come in contact with you, and they're probably going to feel, well, there's a couple different things. So I'll just start how I used to feel. I used to feel very uncomfortable when I was having a good day, when I was being positive, like everything's going to be good. And then you have someone that enters your bubble, right? And before they even speak, you can just feel like, oh, they're heavy. And while we should be empathetic of what other people are going through and try to be supportive, you don't want to take on that other person's energy. You want to protect your own energy. And there's multiple ways to do this. First step, I think, is just get in tune with your energy and work with your chakras, and we'll get into that, like I said, deeper, and do the real healing, the real inner work. We're talking meditation, we're talking journaling, we're talking just moments of stillness and awareness when you're doing those mundane tasks that you hate, the dishes, laundry, trash, whatever. Instead of being like, oh, I have to do this sucks. Try reframing your mindset. I get to do this. How blessed am I that I have a home, apartment, wherever. I have a safe space that I can come to. And I'm living life to the point where I have dishes, I have laundry to do. And slow down in those moments, because I used to always, chores or something that, like, I've got my checklist, I want to do it really quick and then check it off and then I can relax. But your nervous system, the real magic is when your nervous system is constantly regulated. And it knows when you're feeling rushed. So slow down when you're doing those little tasks. And notice how you are capable of doing that. It's okay. It gets easier with time. Your body will feel that. Sometimes before your mind, and sometimes vice versa. There's a lot of fake it till you make it. So there's a lot of things where first you got to have the positive mindset, right? Even if you don't believe it. And over time, your body will just feel safe. And it won't feel like rushed to do the next thing. We're always like, right, working for the weekend. Like, let me get through this week so that I can enjoy my weekend. But every day, every minute is a blessing. So slow down, get in tune with yourself, and then you'll be very familiar with your energy and how you're feeling. I used to really struggle with how I was feeling. Like, people would ask me, because I feel like I just wear my emotions on my face. People would say, what's wrong? And it's like, nothing's wrong. And they're like, you know, you can kind of tell when people are like, you're bullshitting me. It's like, no, I wasn't bullshitting you. I just genuinely, I didn't know myself inside and out to decipher what I'm feeling. Like, even if it's kind of like discomfort, I'd rather, in the past, just, I'm not going to bother other people with things when I don't truly have all the answers and understand what I'm feeling. But the first step is to recognize, like, okay, I feel maybe like your upper belly. That's your solar plexus. That's your chakra, or your energy center that has to do with, it's the statement is I do. So it's a lot of like your personal, your self-worth, your confidence, your hobbies. It's like the person is your solar plexus. And that's always where I feel like anxiety is, in that spot. Sometimes I'll feel a little bit lower in my sacral chakra, which is where the emotions live. But the more you learn and are able to connect the dots and realize that you're separate from your emotions, right? We are a source energy that is in the form of a human. We're having a human experience, but we got to kind of detach from the fact that we're who we are and what's on the outside, because we lose the sight of what's important. And the fact is that at the core of who we are, at the energy, we're all the same. We're all from the same source. And there's something so beautiful about that. And I've allowed myself to give compassion and grace to people in situations where I would not have done that in the past. Because once you realize that everyone has been through something different, different circumstances, different levels of privilege, different experiences. So for you to ever say or judge someone, like, I would have acted different in that situation. How do you know that? You're not that person. So we can't really judge people based on their decisions. So offer that love, that compassion, but we're not taking on other people's energies. And I think it's very difficult, even for me. Like, I'm still so new in the journey of finding out who I am. But I do know one thing for certain, is that I always try to have a positive outlook. And when I'm around people that are always talking negatively, I'm going to naturally just retreat. Separate from what my mind thinks, right? From those judgments that might pop in. Literally at the level of my energy, I just can't, I won't be around it. And that's a boundary. And when you realize that, nothing's really personal. I feel like when we're rejected by people, it just feels so, But we're not for everybody. You kind of have to weed out the people that aren't for you to get the people that are for you and that are in your circle. And it feels a little bit uncomfortable at first. And I think that's why a lot of us do the people pleasing, where we're saying things that aren't actually aligned with what we want. It's just easier to be agreeable. What do you want to eat? I don't know. I'll just have, whatever you're having. But no, you should have an opinion, and you should use your voice, and you should speak up. I wasn't really raised to do that, so I'm still learning, navigating, like, what are my hard stop boundaries? If you do this, I will love you because I love all beings, but I will love you from afar. I will not have you in my bubble. Even when I do learn to fully protect my energy, those are boundaries that you should be able to set, that you're not going to associate with certain people that, don't follow the same morals, or maybe even people that just need more healing, because that could be a red flag too. Like, that is a legitimate toxicity. And I've definitely been very, very toxic in my past. And I'm just now starting to take accountability and realize, like, oh, I was wrong. And in the past, it was always like, well, this happened to me, so I did this. And while that framing isn't necessarily incorrect, I think it's important that when you hurt someone and they come to you and say that, instead of giving them the excuses, the reasons why you did that, just an apology. Because that was their experience that you hurt them. So you don't really get to say, I'm sorry, but just say you're sorry. Our egos, we're so hard-headed, and we want everyone to understand us and know us. But once you know yourself, you will realize that that's all that matters. You're not going to chase validation. You're not going to be so attached to other people or things, because you're going to know at the core of who you are is exactly enough. Is perfect just to be. And there might be catastrophes. There's going to be hard days. And instead of making it feel so personal, like it can feel, reframe, what is this teaching me? I've had so many moments in the last couple of months where I've been challenged, and it's only made me stronger. It's given me that food for thought where I've had time to pause, right? Something happens, you get triggered, and to really think about, oh, why? That must be something really deep down that I feel that way. And that's okay. I can feel it, but I don't have to overanalyze it and get in my head. Like, just feel it, sit with that uncomfortable emotion for a couple minutes, honestly, is all it takes, and watch how quickly it dissipates. You know me, guys, I get all over the place, but these are topics that I'm just so passionate about. So a technique that I learned that I'm trying to implement specifically for protecting your energy is doing a visualization that you're literally in this bubble. So anytime you are going to an event or you're seeing someone that like just kind of makes you nervous and you know you're going to be triggered, you're going to go back into those old habits and thought patterns before you started working on yourself and healing, because it's going to happen. You're going to be triggered all the time. Visualize yourself, right? Let's say I'm walking into a room. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be intentional. I'm not just going to run in and I'm going to run straight to the bar. I think that's what a lot of people do. You know, maybe we've got nerves seeing people in social situations. It's like, let's get tipsy so I can talk to these people. Let's beeline to the bar. Slow down. You're going to walk in that room so confident and so sure of yourself, and visualize that bubble of your energy. And you might have to do a little meditation before, whatever you need to do to get into that space of like, how do I want to present? Well, I think most of us would say we want to present authentically. We want to be confident in who we are, regardless of even like external factors. Like, yeah, you can get dolled up and dress however you want to like look a certain way, but ultimately I could have holes in my shirt and my hair on top of my head, and my energy should reflect that confidence, that true authentic me. So whatever prep work you need to do, okay? So before you walk into that room, we're visualizing our energy. And I like to just bring my attention to my heart center. That's always a really good place to focus, because the heart, the frequency of the heart, living from that place of love, it's that literal bridge between our bottom chakra, which is the root, which is grounded in the physical realm, and the crown chakra, which is in the metaphysical. The heart should be the center of everything. And when people refer to heaven on earth, there's so many different conceptions, I would say, but my understanding, what I believe, is when we're talking about heaven on earth, we're talking about living and doing everything from the heart center. It's a beautiful place to be. So that's one where you can just bring your attention to the center of your chest. You can also always bring your awareness in between your eyebrows. So this is where your third eye chakra is. It's typically open for younger kids. So you think about kids having a great imagination. There's a lot of that's actually real. They're seeing things we're not seeing because their third eye is open. Now, most of us get into school age and we're conditioned, and that third eye closes. And your third eye has to do a lot with your intuition. It's very important because it's very hard to decipher sometimes what you actually want or need, because our mental just clouds so many things. We have so many outside conditions that are impacting our thoughts, but your thoughts are not you. So the more you heal and work specifically on that third eye, your intuition, it'll become easier and easier. Like, let's say you get a crossroads and you need to make a decision. You're gonna know without a doubt what the right decision is. And if you don't know ever on something and it feels urgent, like, oh, it's like I have to pick, that's not your intuition. That's some form of OCD or overthinking. So when you really know what's right for you, it'll just feel so natural and so easy. So that's always a good place to focus your attention, the heart center or in between your eyebrows here. And not only, these aren't the grounding chakras, right? So I always just in general, like 2 feet on the ground, try not to fidget, really like hold your stance and your present and your energy and show up how you want to. And if someone comes into your space and they're coming with some energy that you don't really vibe with, we're just going to sit there and accept that that is an external condition that is external to us. They can feel however they want. I'm not responsible for changing someone else's energy or emotions. Adults are responsible for their own emotions and the energy that they put out there. I'm also not really going to judge. You might, like in your head, a thought's going to pop up, and that's okay. I think that kind of goes away with time. Just the more and more we're working on unconditional love of ourselves, of other people. So let people be who they are. You can bring that energy. But I've got this visualization of my bubble, and I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling confident. I feel happy. I feel authentic. Like I don't have to rehearse. You know, I might say something, I might mess up, I stumble over my words all the time. But I do it with a smile, and I do it confidently, because we're on a floating rock. It's okay. You can mess up, you can stumble. But how you present yourself and your energy too, if you think of it this way, most people aren't doing this work. The majority of people are not doing this work where they're focusing inward on their energy. So just like you maybe are now, and like we're still working on it, a lot of people are picking up your energy, just like you may be picking up theirs. And if you're putting out this positivity, this radiance of love and light, a lot of people are going to feel that. And that's a blessing. That's something that we can help the collective, we can help the community simply by healing, living authentically, loving, using our voice the way we need to, setting boundaries. That's so, I mean, we could honestly, we could change the world if we were all just like focusing inward and putting out love and light and positivity. Observe, but do not absorb. That is huge. That's just one little phrase you can think of when you're thinking of your energy. And it's not until you're aware of it that you'll start to see. I'm curious. I would love to know from you guys in the comments if any of this resonates, or if now that you're starting to think about it, you maybe come back a week later. Yeah, you talked about energy and I didn't even think about that. But I came in contact with someone at the grocery store and they were just instantly like trauma dumping on me and, you know, putting a lot of just negativity, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. And of course you would feel uncomfortable because you don't know how to manage your energy yet. That's okay. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And it's a beautiful thing. So now I want to talk about boundaries. It kind of ties in a little bit, but a boundary is essentially someone, and I don't set boundaries until they pop up. So you almost first have to have the trigger. So you have to be aware of something that triggers you. Someone could come to me and comment on my weight. We'll just give that as an example. Oh, you look great. I can tell you, wow, you've really been how'd you get so skinny? Tell me your secrets. No, I don't like discussing weight. I think someone's body is the least interesting thing about them. So I could say gently, I could say whatever I'm going to say. You need to speak. You need to say what you need to say. Because more and more when you let people just throw whatever at you and you're not telling them, hey, don't do that, that's making me uncomfortable, at that point you can't be mad at that person. And you're losing a little bit of self-trust. Because you're worthy enough to tell people what your wants and needs are, to set your boundaries. So I could say in that example, please don't discuss my weight. Or just, I don't like talking about bodies. Can we talk about something else? And the tone that you say it is really important too. Because people can tell when when there's kind of an undertone, right? So if it's coming from a place of an ego, where I think I'm better than you because I know not to talk about weight, so how dare you, low life, This is 2026. We don't talk about people's weights. There's none of that. We're coming from a place of compassion when we're setting our boundaries. So just say it. Just know, I don't like to comment on weight. I don't like comments about weight. That's it. Easy peasy. Now, a lot of people are going to push your boundaries. That's going to go in one ear and out the other. They're going to continue to do it because they're going to see what they're going to get away with. And if you're someone like me who has let people walk all over them for a majority of my life, it's going to be extra hard for them. Like, let's say you've known someone in your entire life and all of a sudden, oh, Tawny's setting a boundary. She used to be so cool and like, let me just do whatever I want to do. They're not going to like that. That's going to really trigger them. There's a lot of elements of control when we're talking about the ego. People want to control. I wanted to control. Oh, I had so many relationships where I'm like, I just need this person to act this way and do these things. And then they're the perfect person, we can vibe. That's not fair. People are different. We need to accept people from our differences. But again, if there's certain things that are like off limits for you, you need to tell that person. And if they continue to do it, I don't love the concept of cutting people off. I'd maybe give people a couple different tries. If you have someone in your life 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is, try to have that grace and that patience that like, yeah, when I'm learning something new, it takes me a couple times. Because a lot of things are just so, we're not present. That's the issue. A lot of us are not present. So we're just doing things based off of habits that we've done. And it's really, really tricky to change your habits, especially when you're not living in the present. So give people a little bit of grace and a couple different reminders. I think that's absolutely acceptable. But you know your non-negotiables. Don't treat me this way. You continue to treat me this way, I'll give you a warning, I'll give you 2 warnings, but then I will remove you from my life. I will love you from afar. It's nothing personal, but it's disrespectful. When you say to someone, hey, don't do that, and they keep doing it, they keep poking the bear, that comes down to respect. So you're either going to continue to put up with that, and you're not respecting yourself and your own values and your own wishes, or you're going to respect yourself and you're going to stand up for yourself and you're going to say, I don't want to continue this relationship anymore. I've asked you a couple times to not do that. I understand that it takes time to kind of learn and get in the habit, but I've told you multiple times, and that's just a boundary that I feel like I'm being disrespected, so I have to walk away from the relationship. It's hard to do. I think these are maybe conversations when we start to look inward, only then can we realize kind of what our non-negotiables are. And don't feel embarrassed to practice in the mirror having these conversations. I had to pause the camera to think of what I would say literally when someone was like, if I want to say don't comment on my weight. Because if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, I don't set very many boundaries. There's very few things. If I feel like I'm being blatantly disrespected, then I will, like, I want to just retreat. I want to isolate. I want to ghost that person. So I'm also working on, as things come up, right? We don't need to set up for every single little thing. Like, don't get nitpicky and confuse it with your preferences. Like, things have to be this way. We're talking about, again, things that are just very disrespectful and that other person should just not do. Like, how hard is it just to not say something? How hard is it to not talk about someone's weight? Like, you don't have anything else to talk about, no other conversations, and I just don't. You're not a person that I vibe with. But sending love and light and healing to everyone, always. You can also practice writing things down. I feel like I've had a lot more mental clarity and know myself the more that I've been journaling, putting things to paper, right? Because you're having the initial thoughts about where you're going to put down, and then you actually write it down, and then you get to look at that piece of paper and reference it. So there's like multiple different points where you're really engaging your mind, and it's beautiful. We're going to get there, friends. So remember to do the healing, to do the inner work, to understand your energy, how you're coming across to others. How do you want to come across? How do you want to live in your daily life? living from love feels pretty good. I think that's the best place to live from. So if you don't know and you're struggling, like, how do I want my energy to look? I think that's great. I think being positive, cheering other people on, that's beautiful. Protect that. Observe, don't absorb other people's emotions and energies. And make sure you're clearly setting boundaries without any sort of undertone. Just say it. It's hard. It's hard. I just started working on my throat chakra this past year, which is the chakra that is associated with you speaking your truth. And I didn't like confrontation. I shove it down. I've got something to say, but I have to have an awkward conversation. I'm not gonna have that conversation. But there's something not only cowardly about that, but you're just doing yourself an injustice, because you deserve to have opinions on things. You deserve to speak your truth. So don't ever hide that. And if you speaking your truth scares someone away, they're not for you. It wasn't meant to be. We attach so much to people and things. We abandon what is true to us. So always speak up for yourself. If it feels uncomfortable, that's okay. It's still uncomfortable for me. Practice speaking to yourself in the mirror, and we'll get there. One day at a time, beautiful people. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and put in the comments, how are you going to show up for yourself today? What of any of the practices I mentioned are you interested in? I'm going to be posting a lot more content on the healing, on the energy, the chakra systems. Actually, you guys, this weekend there is a new moon. So new moons are for manifestations, manifesting. What do you want your future self to be like? Write down in a notebook I am statements, as if you already have the thing or are the thing. This could be mindsets that you want to develop. This could be physical abundance, a new job, new relationships. You have to think about those things. Think about what you really want. Put them to paper. Act as if you already have it, because your brain doesn't know the difference between something that you have or something that's happened or something that's imaginary. It builds those neural pathways regardless. That's why positive thinking, speaking out loud positively, if you guys have an inner monologue like I do, changing that from negative to positive, it quite literally changes the structure of your brain. It's absolutely fascinating. I can't wait just to learn more about neuroscience and how energies, with all the different frequencies and colors, and everything's just so connected, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, friends, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for tuning in.